What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. I am your host, Trinity. Thank you all so much for being here today. I do greatly appreciate you guys being here. If you are here on the live stream, please do me a favor. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up button. Help a brother out. You know what I'm saying? Help me, help me get pushed in that YouTube algorithm, so then I'm commercially viable. Commercially viable, so I don't get my channel deleted by YouTube. Let them know, man. You gotta let them know. You gotta tell YouTube that I'm commercially viable by hitting that thumbs up button, or you can hit the thumbs down button too. Maybe they look into that too. So anyway, I hope you're all doing very good today. Biden Dirty, thank you so much for being here. I'm True Skills. I hope you're all doing good today. I'm here, happy, or I guess Veterans Day to everybody out there. Thank you to all the veterans who served. My father was a Marine, and I say was, I mean he's dead now, but I mean once a Marine, always a Marine, right? Come on, Semper Fi. So anyway, yeah, it's Veterans Day, and I didn't do my morning movie chat like I normally do on weekday mornings. I figured, it's a holiday. I got a lot of things I want to do, and so I figured, hey, I'm taking the day off from the morning movie chat. So today I'm going to be talking about doing some comic book reviews, some comic books I got read, and some of them, like, I don't know, sometimes I wonder, is it necessary to go out there and have to do, a full review and everything, like some of the nice videos I do. I mean, I certainly like doing it, I do, don't get me wrong, but some of them, like, maybe I just want to review, and maybe I'll wait till there's more issues of them to bring more of like a showcase kind of review or something like that as well. And definitely probably for number ones as well. But if there's ever any of these that you want me to do a more in-depth review on, please let me know, either here in the comment sections, or you can get a hold of me on Twitter or YouTube, or just all my social medias. They're here on my about section. So please make sure you get a hold of me if there's any of these you want me to talk about. So one thing I do want to talk before I get into some of these comic book reviews that I want to do. A couple of these, like one of these I may do an actual video about. And that'll be the first one that I'm going to talk about, but not this one I'm right here. I'm going to tell you about really quick. Now this one right here is an issue, White Widow. I actually, I read issue number 2 of White Widow, and I even talked about it on the Trailer Park Live one morning, and I kind of felt, I don't know, I mean, I was probably a little bit unfair about it on the Trailer Park Live. You guys know how I get on the Trailer Park Live sometimes. But anyway, I read issue number 2, and I was eagerly actually awaiting issue number 3 so I could check it out, to do some reviews on it. But when recently, one of the creators, I believe it's the writer, I believe was it the writer and does the artist as well. Yeah, one of the creators helped done the story and the letters by Benny Powell. Actually seen that I had this on my pull list video, and said, like, hey, and contacted me here on the channel, just there in the comments section, and just kind of we got into a little chat really quick, and told me to go ahead and get a hold of him, and so I went ahead and got a hold of them, and they sent me out, because I only have issue 2 and 3, and I was mentioning, I'm like, yeah, I'd really like to read issue number 1, just I'm going to see if my comic book shop can get a hold of it. And they said, well, get a hold of me. I'll send you out, some of the PDF versions that we, send out for people to do reviews on. And I'll send that to you and, do a review on it. I was like, sweet. So I went ahead and got a hold of them on Facebook. Give me just a second here. Okay, so I went ahead and got a hold of them on Facebook, on their channel, or on their YouTube page or Facebook page. See. And they went ahead and sent me those PDFs, so I got those now, so I can read and do some reviews on. So expect a review of White Widow's issues 1 through 3 getting ready to come here pretty quick. I mean, I thought that was really nice and really generous of them to reach out to me and say, hey, like, here's these books, go ahead and review them. And I think that's a cool thing, and it kind of made me think, like, maybe I need to get a hold of some of these other smaller publishers and things like that I like their work, so I can do reviews on some of their books, maybe some of the first issues or whatnot, before they come out. Because I mean, it's one thing to put out books. It's another thing when you just put out issue number 1s and books and things like that, and like nobody knows about them. Nobody really ever reads them, and or not nobody ever reads them, but nobody really knows anything about them. So what do? If you've got a title out there that you haven't heard of, naturally what you would probably want to do is look up people on YouTube or online who have read the books, and look for other people's advice on what they thought of the book. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to do a review on White Widow issue 1 through 3 again. Thank you once again. God, who is that creator again? Thank you once again, Benny Powell, for reaching out to me and sending me some digital copies of the White Widow series, so I can have be able to do a more in-depth review and make it a little bit more fair. Because like I had some just a few little things I thought were funny, and they're like, oh hey, like we didn't even know this or that, and I'm like okay, that's all fair. That's fair enough for me. Like I wasn't laughing necessarily about that. It just kind of made me chuckle. Sometimes you just see things that make you chuckle. But Biden Dirty, thank you so much for being here. I am True Skills, Two Gun Pedro, and Just a Rican and his comics. Thank you guys so much for being here. So yeah, be looking forward to some reviews for the White Widow issue getting ready to come up here pretty quick on the channel. Hopefully by the end of the week, if not over the weekend, I'll have those done. Joe Lau, thank you so much for being here. Now, the first book that I want to talk about today is Dead Eyes issue number 2. And the first thing I want to say about this, guys, is one thing I'd definitely like you guys to do, if you could, go and follow my local comic book shop on Instagram or even Facebook, and that's at Bases Cards and Comics. And I suppose I should probably should have put that up there as well, where you see where I put my name right there, where you can find me on my social medias right there. Yeah, I just did that. I've been playing around with OBS more. But yeah, it's at Bases Cards and Comics. And you don't have to worry, because they're not going to try to sell you anything. My local comic book shop does not do they don't do like online sales or anything. That's not what they're there for. The owner, Rob, he really believes in doing this for the readers, and the people in the local community. He's not out there trying to make he's not out there trying to make money online and all that stuff. He's like, I could do that all day if I wanted. He's like, that's fine, but he's like, that's not what I want to do. I want to spend my time doing that. Like, I'm here for my local people, the readers, and so they do more than comics. So, Angelus Draven, thank you so much for being here. Number 1 was dope. Oh yeah, and yeah. So anyway, my local comic book shop did allow me to. They let me borrow Dead Eyes issue number 1 and issue number 2 here to do some reviews on. Absolutely great comic shop. And this second issue, I've got to say, I liked it a lot more than the first one. The first one was actually pretty good. Don't get me wrong. The first one was good. But then reading the second one, it ventured into a little more territory where I guess the first one kind of went there too. Like, this one kind of made me laugh just a little bit out loud in some of the situations going on with it. Altogether, I thought this book was pretty good. But Dead Eyes is, now in case you guys don't know, this was actually originally, I believe, published last year under a different title called Dead Rabbit, and there was some legal problems with some pub or something, some bar, I want to say in Philadelphia or New York or somewhere there on the East Coast, and so they had to change the name to Dead Eyes, and it's basically the same books, and I'm not sure how many they did before all that came about, but so yeah. Now, this book is basically about this guy who is a robber. He goes out robbing people. He was back in the 90s. He was out robbing banks, robbing just all kinds of people. It didn't really matter. He had money. He went out there and robbed, and he got away. He never got caught. And in the last issue, we kind of see that basically a lot of the word around town is that he had been retired, and there's kind of this rumor that he had stolen a large sum of money from the mafia. And they said it was like a whole bunch of money. He should be living good for a long time. Well, we've seen in issue number 1 of Dead Eyes that he obviously wasn't doing too good. He wasn't just like living it up or anything. And his wife had actually become sick. She was in the hospital. They had just bills galore and everything. And of course, his wife knew what he did as well. And so he went around wearing this mask like you see here on the cover, where it has the X on the eyes. And so it was actually pretty good. A good introduction to the character and everything. And so he was out. He had a job. He had a regular job working at a retail establishment. And he was working on the register one day, and he seen this guy coming through buying these things, and he's like, hey man, like I could tell this dude's getting ready to do something. He's getting ready to rob some people or kidnap some people. He's like it's pretty obvious by what he's buying. Like people should be less obvious about this stuff because he knows about it, right? It's kind of his world. And so he went and he took off from work and he tracked him, or he remembered the guy's address from checking his ID because he was going to use a credit card. And so he ended up going to the guy's home, kind of tracked him down, and went and kind of scoped the guy's house out. And he's like, okay, like what's going on here? And he ended up going into their house and finding out that these people were actually involved in human trafficking. He had some people locked up under his stairs and everything. And so he went ahead and got in an altercation with this guy, and ended up getting just in an altercation. And he had a partner there too. So he kind of got beat up, but he got everything kind of taken care of and helped free some people who were caught in basically a human trafficking ring. So he went ahead and stopped that. And then and that's where issue number 2 picks up. And I'm going to show you guys some of the art here, some of the art going on in this book. I'll show you, like right here's some of the art they've got. Pretty good art. I like the art and everything how it was in this book. It's not just average run of the mill stuff. I mean, it's a lot of it's pretty highly detailed, well colored, and kind of makes you, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're really kind of immersed in that world. Now, the writer on this story is Jerry Dugan. He's actually writing the Savage Avengers. I got their poster right up there. He's actually writing the Savage Avengers series right now for Marvel. The artist is John McCrea. The colorist is Mike Spicer, and it's lettered by Joe Sabino. The editor is Will Dennis, and the covers are by John McCrea and Tula Lotte, and the logo is by Drew Gill. And so, here we pick up where, and here, let me show you some more of the art in here. This is just great. We pick up where he's in the hospital with his wife, after she had gotten sick and she was basically put in the hospital. And he goes there to visit her, and he's sitting there talking with the lady who does the billing for the office after the doctor said, like, look, I get that you can't leave your wife here for money reasons, but you need to talk to, I mean, for her best interest is be best if she stayed here overnight. Here's our billing specialist. You can talk to her and see what we can get sorted out. So the billing specialist comes in and gives him the price of however much it's going to cost. And he's like, how much, how are you going to pay? And he's like, well, I'm going to pay with cash. And so as he's sitting there getting ready to talk to his wife, there's another lady there after the billing specialist had left the room. He's like, man, don't fall for it, man. These people will take you for everything. I've been billed for stuff I shouldn't be billed for, and just it's kind of funny. They're kind of talk about this narrative, this thing that goes on in hospitals where they're billing you for all these things, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because I actually know, not too long ago, just last year, I broke my collarbone. You guys probably still see the scar there. I broke my collarbone while I was out bike riding, and I went to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, I actually went and I took my own sling into the hospital. Because I was sitting around through the weekend until I could get into surgery. And so I took my own sling into the hospital. Well, when we left the hospital, what had happened, and this is like my real life. This happened to me. We left, and I had my sling. And later, I got turned into a bill collection agency, and I called, or like, I wasn't turned in, but, the billing company for the hospital had said, or maybe it was because it was from a different company that it was being billed through for this sling, and they're like, hey, you owe us this money for this sling. And I'm like, and I called them, I'm like, I don't owe you any money for any sling. And they're like, well, you got this sling here. And it was like, I want to say it was like $200 and some odd dollars or something like that. Like, for a sling, a basic cloth junky sling that they were trying to charge me for, and I had this nice one, and and I called them and I told them that I took my own sling in. I didn't take one of your slings. They're like, well, it shows right here you got billed for it. I'm like, well, I'm sorry to tell you, I took my own sling in. So it's just like some of the things that happen out there in the world, just like billing practices and stuff like that. And it's not just hospitals; all kinds of people that do this have shady billing practices. What? Yes. And so, so I get it, and that's something that they made mention of here in this book. The girl's like, hey man, check that bill. They're gonna overcharge you. So as the character here, Dead Eyes, I can't remember his real name. He leaves the hospital and he's like, crap, what am I gonna do? So he figures, the thing he's gonna do is he's gonna go out and rob some places and make some money. He's gonna go rob a bank. So that's what we kind of see. We see a little flash of that at the beginning of the book, and then we get into it. But what happens is he contacts an old friend of his, basically a getaway driver, like, hey man, like I need to make some money. I need a getaway driver. So he contacts this getaway driver, and the getaway driver's like, hell yeah. He's like, you're back? Yeah, I thought you were retired. I thought you were doing good enough. You made all this money. He's like, dude, I need a driver. And so the guy go ahead and says he'll do the driving for him. So they go out on this robbing spree. And while he's in there, he goes to rob the place, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry, everybody, just stop, don't." And he's in there. He's like, "Don't give me the money that's marked. Don't give me anything a tracker. Don't put any of the ink bags in there." He tells the manager, because everybody knew who he was. He was like very notorious. And the banker's like, tell him like, "Hey, you better tell." He tells the manager like, "You better tell your lady here, not to be putting any of that stuff in there." So the manager tells him, and he goes ahead and ends up leaving. And what we see is like the getaway driver was in the car drinking some vodka, and he had stuffed under the seat. And Dead Eyes is running out to the car. He's like, "Hey!" He's like, "Where's the driver?" He's like, "Well, crap!" So he runs to the getaway car, and he hops in, and the getaway driver was passed out, and not necessarily just passed out due to drinking the alcohol or anything. So Dead Eyes ends up, he gets in, pushes him over, gets in the driver's seat. He's in his getaway. The cops are chasing him. And he, high speed chase, so he ends up, driving through town. He's making his getaway, and he ends up hitting like a trolley there in town. Is past the passenger. The getaway driver flies through the windshield, and ends up in this trolley, in this tram. And so, he's there. He's like, crap. He's like, this is my getaway guy. I don't want to just leave him here hanging. So he goes ahead, and he gets a shopping cart, and takes the getaway driver, and takes him with him. Just doesn't leave him behind. Which I think, obviously this guy is robbing people, but he has at least some sort of a moral code. And he ends up dropping him. Dropping him right here in front of a hospital, saying, "Help! Help! This guy needs help." just some funny stuff, man, going on here. And then so he's the getaway driver is there in the hospital, and we see at the very end the getaway driver, because there's rumors already circulating that quick that Dead Eyes is back. And so the guy who is the getaway driver, he's laying there in the hospital, and he gets a special visit from somebody who wants to talk to him, and it's not the authorities who want to talk to him about Dead Eyes. Altogether, guys, this is a pretty good book if you're into something like that, kind of like a gangster tale or something. This is actually a pretty good one. It's really well written, and the art in it is very good. Again, I just showed you some of the art there. I'll show you, maybe another. Here's another flash of the art here in the book as well. Pretty well drawn. Like I said, colors were all done pretty good. Story was very well written. Again, I think Dead Eyes is one you guys should probably definitely check out if you're into something like that. Derek Raju, thank you so much for being here. 19K Fox, what's up, my brother? So yeah, definitely a good one if you guys are into something like that. Now the next one I want to talk about here, man, this one is a good one. Okay, guys, I'm not really big into zombies and vampires and all that stuff, but this series, I read issue number 1 from being lent by my local comic book shop, who lent me issue number 1, and it was so good I ended up reading it. But it's called Vampire State Building issue number 2. Okay, now this one is from the artist of The Walking Dead. This is on Ablaze Comics. The writer here is that Ange. Ange, Ange, and Patrick Renault. The cover artist is Charlie Adlard, Stefano Guadiano, and Diego Bernard. The interior artist is Charlie Adlard, and the color is Sebastian Gerard. And the editor is Rich Young and Jean Waquet. Oh man, I know I butchered that one. I'll show you their names right there, where you can check those out. But basically, what's going on in this story is we see that there's in issue number 1 and issue number 2 we see what happened was there was a guy who was getting ready to enlist into the army. He was getting ready to ship off, and he met his friends at the Empire State Building. They were there on the observation deck where they were meeting their friends. So he had a group of friends there. I don't know, probably 5 or 6 friends that he had there with him. One of them was his ex-girlfriend who he had broke up with. Another one was his one of his best friends, and just a couple of his best friends. And the one of them, it seemed like his friend was dating, was a girl that it seemed like he probably had some sexual relations with or something there, because there was some sort of, just some things mentioned, and some sort of tension that was there in the first building. And one of the girls, the girl that he had broke up with, that was there with him as well. Her father is actually a pretty high up person there at the Empire State Building. I would say maybe an engineer, and they were doing some remodeling there. And so through the course of the remodeling, they found this little room. The people who were doing the remodeling they found this little room, and they ended up opening up what ended up being a tomb. And as soon as they opened this tomb, like this vampire came alive, and we see that there's a bunch of homeless people that ended up rushing the Empire State Building and just like killing people, just like thirsting for blood and all these kinds of things. Sacrificing a whole bunch of people, and basically everybody got trapped inside of the Empire State Building. And that's pretty much what happened in issue number 1. And then issue number 2 picks right back up, obviously in the same spot. And I've got to say, this book was, again, this is another one that, I mean, like I said, I'm not really into these things like the vampires and all that stuff. But this book is really good, and the art in it is great as well. Now, I probably can't show you a whole bunch of the art here mostly because it's pretty dark, and I'm not sure how well it'll come through here on the camera. But I'll let me find this right scene, and I'll show you where some of it is. Because I got to tell you, like, to me, altogether, the situation seems a lot like Die Hard. Imagine Die Hard with vampires. Imagine John McClane was stuck up there with vampires. Because we get a lot of these really great shots. Let me see, through of the building. Man, we get a lot of these really great shots of the building. See, like right there, we got that shot of the building and everything. And the police have basically surrounded it. They've shut the place down. They have it like basically like quarantine and everything as they're trying to figure out what it is. And they thought that they were dealing with just terrorists. And so in this story, we see that the main characters are there trying to do what they can to make an escape. And they end up going through different things, like the little things that they use, I can't remember what you would call them, that they use outside the buildings, that go up those high-rise buildings to clean the windows and things like that, the scaffolding maybe. And so just different things happen, and eventually there's people were trying to make contact with the police and all these different things, and they ended up getting some footage, and they found out that these people are vampires. And apparently they're saying that the Empire State Building was built on some ancient burial ground, and but it was actually made, and they started building it to the people who had lived there before. They were from some tribes of Native Americans, of Indians, if you will, and had built this. And this particular tribe of people had believed in these certain gods, and they basically, they weren't cannibals, but they thirsted on blood and things like that. And so that's what we see here, and we see that the vampire is very well alive, and they are bringing humans in to sacrifice them to their god, and he's there killing people and basically drinking their blood. And the funny thing is, he's not even like really like outright just like drinking their blood, as you can see right here in this panel here. Like he just cuts him open. He puts a hole in this guy's head right here, and then all of a sudden he just puts him up close to him and starts just kind of it's just making contact with him. He's not even really necessarily drinking the blood; it's just making contact with him and giving him power. And so they're all there, bringing a bunch of the people that are trapped in the Empire State Building there to give this vampire the power to once again live and be strong and everything. And altogether, guys, this book was actually pretty good. Like I said, I'm not really into like the whole vampire kind of, and zombie kind of thing. But this book, the art in it is really good. I thought it was really well written. I quite enjoyed this book. I would think if you're into something like that, or if you ever read like the Walking Dead series, a lot of the art is the same. I didn't read it, but it's from the same artist. It says right there, the same artist as the Walking Dead. So again, I think you guys should check this one out. It's got beautiful, the pages are shining. They're pretty glossy, beautiful book. So, with all the black on them, you got to be careful with your fingers and everything, getting oils, you get fingerprints and everything all over them. So, yeah, you got to be kind of careful. But, Yeah, again, I think that's one you guys should check out. Let's see who else we got here. Two Gun Pedro says, I still need to pick up Vampire State Building #2. Yeah, man, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I honestly liked issue 2 more than I liked issue 1, and I liked issue 1. So it's definitely one you'll want to check out. Derek Raju says, yeah, I'm not a big vampire zombie guy, but it sounds interesting. John McClane with vampires. I like that. Yeah, it seems like it's a lot like that. When the police were there and they had it all quarantined and had the building shut down and everything, and it seems a lot like that, but with zombies on the loose. Perry Comics, what's up, man? How you doing? Are you lurking today? um, yeah, and 19K Fox, what's up, man? Dylan's Comic Book Rants, thank you so much for being here. And if you guys are here, please do me a favor, make sure that you smash that like button, man. It greatly helps me out. I want to be commercially viable, so YouTube don't delete me, so YouTube don't cancel me. The next one I want to talk here about, and again, when there's a few of these, some of these I'll probably do more reviews on, more in-depth reviews on at some point. But Everything, issue #3. This one is actually on Dark Horse Comics, and it's on their Berger Books line. And I've got to tell you guys, I like this series. This one's a good one. Now the book is written by Christopher Cantwell, and Christopher Cantwell is actually the writer who is doing the Doctor Doom series right now over at Marvel. So in case you want to check out something, or in case you're reading him, the artist is Ian J. Colbert, and Steve Wands is the letterer, and Karen Berger is the editor. Again, this one's a good one, and every single one of these issues starts out just like this. Like right here on the title, like this first page, we see there's it tells you what is this, Chapter 3, everything, see everything as a dream. And these are all kind of just like pictures, snapshots of things that are coming in the book. And this right here, this page is like an ad. They look just like ads for that you would find in your local newspaper and things like that for this company called Everything. Now, what's going on in this story is basically this big box retailer, much like a Walmart or a Target or something like that, had moved into this little town in Michigan called Holland, Michigan. And so there's some really weird things going on here with this big box retailer. And there's actually one of the guys, a local just a local audio store owner, has kind of started looking into things. He's kind of suspicious of what's all going on here. He don't understand what's going on because things are going wrong. Like in his stereo shop, he noticed everything started sounding like crap. So he went to the Everything store, and it just happened out of the blue. He goes to the Everything store, this big box retailer, and everything was working just fine. And there's just a lot of creepy things going on in this book. Like in the first issue, we seen there was like a homeless man that just like, what do they call it? Spontaneous combustion. He just took off and just set on fire. One of the kids who was there seeking a job, he ended up getting in a car crash. And I believe that was in issue 2. Got in a car crash and died. And after he had gotten a job here at Everything, and again, we see that this big box retailer had actually, it seems like they've brought something evil into the town, and we get a little bit more of that in here. And I can't say that the people here are robots, but it seems like they get kind of in this trance where they're in somewhat of a robotic form. And we see that there is basically like these overlords there, like here's the facility manager right here, Shirley, and she's there. She's kind of a weirdo, and you can see like she's cutting into this bear and everything. This bear has like stuff inside of him that like kind of controls her, and we learned a little bit more about that in the second issue as well. But this book, it's really kind of creepy. Some weird things going on. And then like I said, there's all these stories, we got these few different main characters that they all just kind of all these stories are kind of intertwining. And we see right here, so they got this big box retailer there, and we can see that Shirley actually goes downstairs to this meeting room and has a meeting with like these Everything overlords. So it's kind of got some weird stuff. You can see right there in her office, she's got this picture there that helps her get downstairs into this particular section of this big box retailer. And again, just some really weird things going on in this book. Like here we can see like one of the characters, she's doing this really weird like ritual, like she's drinking like tea or something, but she's grinding up these paint chips that she got off this wall that was painted a very particular way. She grinds them up and she drinks them like in a tea, and then she herself ends up setting on fire. So, man, I don't know. Just some really weird things going on in this book, and again, I'll show you some more of the art in here as well. Just I don't know, a lot of the things that are going on here really kind of help set the tone, and there's not like it's not like a whole lot of high detail in it or anything, but again, sometimes I think things like that help out a story in making it seem like too plain and too weird, because it's too, man, I don't know. You know how like you seen Edward Scissorhands? You ever seen that movie and everything's all weird, like the city, all the things are colored the same, and it just really helps set this really weird tone. And that's kind of what we get in this series, and I've really liked this series. Again, it's like a horror series, I guess you could say. Of course, not a whole lot of horror stuff has happened. I don't know. It's a good one though. I really do like that one. I really do like this series. Again, that's everything on Dark Horse Comics. One I think you guys should definitely check out. Let's see. What else we got here? Okay, Perry Comics says later I am. All right. I'm True Skill says I'm trying to get New Mutants, Doctor Doom, and X Force. Yeah, New Mutants was a pretty good one. X Force, I'll tell you, I'm True Skills. X Force is like a must read from last week. I'd say definitely get, if you can only get one of those three, get the X Force series. Get that X Force issue #1. I haven't yet got to read Doctor Doom issue #1, and I know issue #2 just released this last week as well. Two Gun Pedro says you read a lot of books, Trinity. I know, and it's getting ridiculous, man. It's an addiction. I'm telling you, this thing is an addiction. And it's not good. It's not healthy. Well, at least it's okay. It's healthy, I guess. I mean, I'm not, unless you're not eating because you're pull list. But I've been pretty lucky. Stu Juicy X says, "Have you read any of Excellence?" I have not heard of any read Excellence, but I've heard of a few other of the comic book creators out there that have been reading it, and I believe I've heard some pretty good things about that series. But no, I haven't read that one. Derek Raju says you read some pretty interesting and weird books. Yeah, and again, some of them I'm buying, and some of them I am buying, or I'm just getting lent from my comic book shop, so I can do reviews on them. My local comic book shop has been absolutely great in helping me out with those kinds of things, so I can bring you guys some reviews. I mean, they've been supportive, very supportive of me and the channel here. And again, you can go follow them on Instagram or Facebook at Bases, Cards, and Comics, all written out. Bases, Cards, and Comics. You should go check them out. And again, they don't do online retailing, so you don't have to worry about them selling his stuff. They just post a lot of the books that are coming out for the week and just different things that are going on. The next one, and I talked a little bit about this on the Trailer Park Live on Friday, if you caught that intro video where I re-released it here yesterday. It's Ruby Falls issue #2. This one, once again, and this one right here, guys, it's an issue #2 of 4, so it's a mini series. So you only sometimes mini series are nice. You're only getting 4 issues, so you're not having to get this ongoing series and it's going on and on and on. Sometimes it's nice to get a mini series, and this one is written by Ann Nocenti or Nocenti. Like I said, I'm a cyclist, and in cycling that would be Nocenti, because a lot of those names would be coming from like France or Italy or something, and that I don't know. The Flavia Bondi is the Biondi is the artist. The colorist is Lee Lowridge, and Sal Cipriano is the letterer. And I'll go ahead and show you that opening title page there, and the credits of the people who did this. And basically, what's going on in this story, you can see there on the cover here. The main character is this young lady right here, and that's her girlfriend right here. Yeah, guys, this book has lesbians in it. They're in a woman on woman relationship. So if that's something you can't handle, this book might not be for you. But again, I will say that this one doesn't, I wouldn't say anything I've read in here screams agenda or anything like that a lot of people might typically associate with a book that has some lesbian characters in it. At least none that I've noticed. It's really just a well written book. I mean, I would say like the characters in here, like these two lesbian characters, are written a lot like if you ever seen like Chasing Amy by Kevin Smith, like about as just like that, really, for the most part. I mean, that's how these characters interact. These two ladies, but basically, what's happening is this is like a murder mystery book right here, and I've quite liked this. I've quite liked this series so far, and let me know if you guys have checked this one out. But basically, what happens is, and I can't remember what her name is all of a sudden, but her grandmother was telling her about her childhood and some things like her witnessing this murder, and she decided to go ahead and try to investigate it. And this all happened in the first issue, and she wanted to investigate it. She reached out to one of her friends, who is this guy who works for like a newspaper, and he has kind of a crush on her. And so she reached out to him. He got her some information, and she's like, "Huh, that's interesting." So she went back and questioned her grandmother about it while she's staying at this nursing home, basically. And her grandmother had flipped out. Her grandmother just like went crazy, like, "Hey, like kind of freaking out about this stuff." And her grandmother has dementia. She's losing her memory and everything. So her grandmother ended up running away from this nursing home. And that's where this one picks up, because in the end of the first one, like it's in a small town called Ruby Falls. And if you guys know anything about small towns, like when bad things happen, everybody knows everybody's business, and when something bad happens, sometimes there's cover-ups. People zip their lips and they keep it quiet. They don't want their little town getting bad reputations or anything like that. Like if you ever seen that movie, God, what is it, Hot Fuzz? You ever seen the movie Hot Fuzz? Imagine a town a lot like that. And that's kind of what it is. Everybody knows each other, and so at the end of the book, she got threatened and kind of got beat up by these people who were telling her just like, knock it off, stop even looking into this murder. And here the book opens up like that, where she basically had just gotten beat up, and she's waking up, and the police are there. She ends up walking home, and she finds out that the police are investigating her grandma's disappearance after she had gone, and she kind of wants to help them with the investigation. And we see that we flash to some scenes where her grandmother had actually cut her hair and used some shoe polish and dyed her hair black, and she goes to this place kind of out in the outside of town in the woods, I guess you could say, and finds this little spot where it looks like it would be like where they were burrowing into, maybe like where they were once going to build like train tracks to go through or something. It's really kind of weird. She goes there, and you can see that like she's kind of imagining, she's kind of flashing back to her childhood, when to her younger years, when they'd go there and have like these parties and everything. And so that's kind of where this story was going through. And she the main character here, she goes to invest as she's out investigating. She goes to find like the only people that were in town that had still lived in the same house as before, when this initial murder had happened. And they were kind of telling her the story about the particular girl that had been murdered. And they're like, just forget about it, though. This was a long time ago. Just, shouldn't you be more worried about your grandma who's missing? And, so, they're there investigating, and, well, lo and behold, they're there. And she kind of, she's there with that guy friend of hers that has this crush on her. And, of course, naturally, he ends up, they get a little bit close and intimate, and he gives her a kiss and everything, and they kind of get into it, and she's like, no, I can't do this. And she ends up, she's kind of, I guess you could say, cheating on her girlfriend here. And her girlfriend is already jealous of this whole thing anyway. She's like, why are you going out there with this guy who's got this crush on you? Like, you could tell she don't like it. And at the same time, she works at this strip club. Her girlfriend that's jealous works at the strip club. And, they kind of get into this little fight about, because her girlfriend is, it's not necessarily a strip club. It's just like a burlesque club, I guess you could say. and her bosses wanting to wear these G-strings and everything, just like even more skimpier kind of stuff to bring in more customers to make more money. And again, altogether, I mean, it's not a book that's probably for everybody. I'll show you guys a little bit more of the art here. The art here is pretty plain, cut and dry. Nothing too jazzy about it. Nothing over the top. But it's put together pretty good. I mean, I have no complaints about it. Like here's where her grandmother is going to this place right here to just where she's hanging out. And it's strange because there's this guy there that actually knows about her and kind of this past here. And that's what we see here is there is actually a guy out here who is probably the person who had committed these murders clear back in the day, because they're saying like, oh, for this person to be alive who committed these murders, they'd have to be in their 90s now. And we kind of see that's kind of exactly what we got here. We got this guy. He's living in this. He's living in like this little trailer park, and it looks like it's on the edge of like a landfill or something. It doesn't look like too good. So again, just a pretty cool little murder mystery. If you're into anything like that, again, it's only 4 issues long, so I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good series. Now I'm not pulling this series. Again, this is another one that my local comic book shop lent me to read, and I thought it was a pretty decent read. Again, probably not for everybody. True Skill says, I stopped reading comics in the 90s. The last 3 years I've been addicted. Yeah, I know, man. It gets crazy. Yeah, exactly. 19K Fox. Bases, Cards, and Comics. At Bases, Cards, and Comics is their thing. Alpha Proto, what's up? Yeah, he says G-string. Yeah, oh, man. Can't have a woman wearing a G-string now. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, men can't control themselves. Okay, the next one I want to talk about here is on Image Comics, and that's Coffin Bound, issue number 4. Now, I'm probably going to do a more in-depth review of this series, because this one, I think it was in issue number 3, and maybe it might have been issue number 2. I was really kind of getting more of a feel for what's going on in this book. Now, this one is on Image Comics, and the writer is Dan Waters. The artist is Danny. The colorist is Brad Thompson. The letterer is Aditya Bidikar, and the graphic designer is Emma Price. And I'll go ahead and show you those, and you can see some of the art here in the book as well on that opening page. Again, this one was a pretty good issue. Now, this is the end of the first volume of the series, and I was kind of thinking so. I think this has 40 pages of story in it, because it's 44 pages. Because when I picked this book up, I'm like, man, this one's, you probably can't see it there, but this book is actually pretty thick. When I picked it up, I was like, man, that's a pretty thick book. And again, this one was a $4.99 book instead of a $3.99 like the other issues were. And look at that cover again too. For some, like this cover, I really liked this cover. It just reminds me of, I can't think of what it reminds me of, but again, I thought the cover was pretty good. Now, this book is kind of like, we see this character here, the main character. She is going through trying to erase all traces of her on this earth. And this is like a post-apocalyptic kind of earth. Something has happened, and a lot of the population, it seems like the population is really thinned out, and almost like, I wouldn't say quite maybe as scarce as Mad Max. Maybe it's a little more populated than that. They still got technology. They're still using it and everything. It's just we don't come across a whole lot of people, and they still seem a little more spread out and few and far between. But so this girl is going through trying basically to right some wrongs in her life, and trying to erase like a lot of the memories of her before she dies. And she's being sought out by this creature called the Man-Eater. And so she's going out, and just like a lot of things have happened, and a lot of things really happen in this particular series. And by issue number 3, like I said, I kind of got the feeling this story is kind of telling this narrative about people and how thin-skinned people are. You know what I mean? Like, we take everything so seriously. We let things get to us, and how sometimes when we've done something, maybe something wrong or anything like that, how maybe sometimes we look into it a little too much. Maybe we beat ourselves up a little bit too much and take things for more than they are. And that's what it seems like a lot of this book is about. And it's really crazy. I mean, you got boobies and everything in here. Yeah, man. Yeah. Woo! We get some boobies. You want to see some boobies, guys? Um, yeah, here, guys. There's some boobies for you. Cartoon boobies. Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. But you can see how the character over there, she's like, she's got some of her skin that she's cut off. In the strip club, they're doing some really crazy stuff. Like in one of the issues, the bald chick, if you've seen her on there, like she's sitting there stripping for this guy, and he's sitting there like, and she like takes her fingernails, she like cuts her skin open, like she starts opening up her skin and everything, and you can see like the bare muscles and everything underneath her, and like crazy stuff. And the guy's sitting there like he's all into it, it's like at the strip club, and he's crying and everything, he's so into it. Just some really crazy stuff. And I think and that's what a lot of this it seems like this book is telling this narrative about us being vulnerable, as people, as human beings, and being able to open up, and be vulnerable as well. And also, how there are people out there who will take advantage of that. And again, guys, this is one I think I'm going to do more of an in-depth review on now that we've got basically all of volume 1 here. It's only 4 issues again. So I thought it was a really good one. Now, the art in here is probably not for everybody, but I think some of the art as well kind of really helps, like I said, set the tone here of the world that we're in. Just kind of dark and gritty. Like I said, like a somewhat of a post-apocalyptic kind of world in which all these things are happening. And see, here's even more. See, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's highly detailed, but at the same time, it's not really highly detailed neither. It's really weird to explain. Now the one complaint I do have about this book that I kind of noticed is this girl right here, and you can see it's just, I don't know, maybe it's inconsistency in art, or maybe they wanted it to be that way. But she looks, her of all the characters, for some reason in this book, she just kind of looked a little bit different here, and just kind of stood out to me. But just some really crazy things going on here, and you can see this girl is, she's trying to make amends with all these people before she goes and dies. And again, it's really weird because she has like this dead, it looks like a dead vulture with a cage on his head, but like he's got a human body, but he's got a vulture head and in this cage, and weird stuff. And he's actually been looking out for her and helping her. Just again, crazy stuff going on in this book. But again, I think a lot of the narrative of it is talking about how, just those things like how we interact with each other, like, people with thin skin, bearing ourselves, being vulnerable. And again, with us, maybe sometimes we look too much into things, and think that, maybe if you've done something bad in your life, and maybe you're just beating yourself up for it, when maybe it's not really that bad. Maybe you just need to ask for a little bit of forgiveness and things like that. Again, very interesting book. I want to do, like I said, I want to do more of an in-depth review on that one, but I did like that. Can you show a few more pages of the art? Of which one do you want to see more of the art, on Coffin Bound or Ruby Falls? Because yeah, the Ruby Coffin Bound, it's great too. Like, you can see even more of that here in this book as well. Just again, great stuff here. I mean, I don't know what it is. I know, I think I was I'm not sure if it was Perry Comics said that he had read this one, and didn't he said he didn't like it. Was it Perry Comics, or was it Comic Jabroni? It might have been. It was one of those two. Said they read it and just wasn't really into it. But I liked it. I've kind of been taken with it. And again, we're here at the end of volume 1, so I guess I guess essentially I'm pretty much done with this book, for the most part. But again, I thought Coffin Bound was another pretty good series. And again, only 4 issues, so it's not like you're committing to an ongoing series. And I can't say that this book was such a huge book. I don't know. I don't look up numbers. I'm not a numbers guy. That you could probably still find this at your local comic book shop and check it out. And again, that one's on Image Comics. So yeah, definitely a pretty good read. So, yeah, demonetized. Yeah, I don't really. Well, I don't really care right now because I'm not making money. But pretty soon. And yeah, again, I don't know. Can you show boobies on here, even if they're cartoon boobies? I don't know. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for that. I've showed boobies on here before as well. Cartoon boobies, not real boobies. Derek says, I like your summations of the books. Thank you. And I've been trying to get better at that. Better at kind of describing them, and sometimes I feel like I'm a little too generic, but again, I guess that comes with us. The more we read and more we review them and talk about them, you start to get a little bit better at it. And as a matter of fact, like on my videos now, when I'm doing the comic book reviews, I do my best to do them all in one shot now, instead of like a bunch of editing and all that stuff, which sometimes on some of them I'm probably going to, like when I do Coffin Bound, maybe I'll go through and I'll do more, be more comprehensive, try to get more snapshots of the art and things like that, so I can make it a little more entertaining than just me sitting, so you're not just sitting here watching my pretty face talk about comic books. Um, Interesting colors, lots of breathing space in the art. Yeah, there is. Again, it's very interesting because there's some of the panels in this book too. Like we'll see, right here. They're like in this room, and you can see like there's got high detail, but then you get over here and she's got this gun pointed at her, and you can't see her face. It's just kind of overtaken by the colors and everything in the panel. But just again, I think it's pretty cool how a lot of that's done. And again, I gotta show you guys that cover, man. I don't know what it is about that cover. That cover is just absolute. I don't know. I really like that cover. I don't know what it is, man. It's a good one. It reminds me of something, It just reminds me of something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. D. Piercy's comic says, "Oh, I love Coffin Bound. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good series, and I'm almost sad to see it come to an end, of Volume 1. And I think they said Volume 2 is going to be starting next summer or next spring as well. Let's see, what did that say here? Um, yeah, Volume 2 begins summer of 2020, so got a little bit of time, and that's kind of nice, That's kind of nice. Maybe they're gonna assess how this first volume sold and see how much, if they're gonna do just another 4 issue series with it for Volume 2, if they're gonna do more. I don't know. Hard to say. Um, and let's see, good use of negative space. Yeah, yeah. Alpha Proto says, the cover reminds me of a James Bond movie poster, but in reverse. I think I was thinking something like that too. I think I was thinking something exactly like that too, Alpha Proto. Very much Bond style, definitely. Now, the next one I want to talk about here, and I never did a review for issue number 1, and so here I'm just going to talk about this one a little bit, and I'll probably do a more in-depth review maybe when issue number 3 comes out, or with issue number 2 as well. Um, uh, D. Piercy's comic says the art is reminiscent of 100 Bullets. Okay, I'll have to check that out, but I'll take your word for that. I'll take your word for that. But yeah, it's very, very cool cover. But is this one right here, and this one's on the Aftershock comics. This one is Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated. Now this one, this one's a very good book, and again, that's on Aftershock comics. There, I'm not sure if that's got a little too bright there for you guys, where you can't see that, but this one's a very interesting one. It's issue number 2 here is called Primitive Man, but the writer and co-creator is Patrick Kindlin. Stefano Simeone is the artist and co-creator. The letterer is Hassan Atsmani Elahu. I don't know. I follow him on. I think I follow most of these people on Twitter. I'll tell you that. And Charles Pritchett does the logo. Is the logo designer and production. Mike Martz is the editor, and Stefano Simeone did the cover on here. And I'll go ahead and give you guys a shot of some of the art here that's in the book. So you can take a look at that. This one just happens to be a scene where they're underground, under this shopping center, taking, just doing some weird tribe kind of doing these things. There's more. Here's some more of the art where they're in this store. Now, what's going on here in this story so far through issue 1 and 2 is Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated. So I mean, that kind of lets you know they're in a retail setting here, I guess you could say, and it seems like it's taking place in somewhat of in a futuristic type situation, and they're in this retail store that sells, a lot of stuff, groceries, and just kind of like a Walmart, I guess you could say, but it's called Caucasus. And they have what we see here is that this book mainly seems to revolve around this character, this main character guy. He works there for Caucasus, and he works for security. He works in security there for the place, or asset protection. And so we see that they use, like, they actually shoot people. They actually kill. They actually kill some of the people here. He uses guns. He uses lethal means to stop people from stealing from the store. And it's crazy because in the first issue we see, like, this guy is highly trained. He's like really super tactically trained asset protection specialist, and he's out there busting people. And we get like in the first issue we see like the one of the guys is one of the higher up managers in the store, pulls this girl aside and shows her. He's like just watch this guy go work. He's trained. He's trained so well. And you see him walking through the store, and they're like, look, he's found something. As he just walked by this guy, this asset protection guy, walked by this guy who walked in the store. He's like, he can see something. He can sense it. He can smell it. There's a perpetrator here on the grounds, and you see him take off, watching this guy there in the store who was attempting to go steal some stuff from the store. And he's very tactful. He's highly trained. You know what I mean? Like I said, like he's a secret agent. Like he's a James Bond of asset protection people here in the store. And in the first issue, we kind of got that built up a little bit about how hardcore they are about protecting their assets. And then there was some things going on in the personal life of the facility manager, where he actually went to the sporting goods department to get a gun and attempted to kill himself there in the middle of the store. It was like this big old situation. The asset protection guy ends up stopping it all by, he basically knocks the store manager out and stops it. And while they were there, obviously, these days in society, and especially, in the future, by the time technology has gotten there, everybody's got their phones out and they're trying to take videos of it. So what had happened is there was so many people, bystanders there, they're asset protection for the company. So what they do is they went through all the people that were there. They went through and destroyed their phones. Like they went through and they didn't beat up the people, but they took their phones and smashed them and all of these kinds of things. And people were, obviously, what's going to happen? People are upset. And so what they did was they had a special on something, and they were giving away free phones at the front of the store. So then all these people who just got their phones smashed and destroyed went to the front store and, hey, they got a new phone for free. You know what I mean? So they're not so upset, and hopefully so they will shut up and not tell the press or anybody about what just had taken place in the store, with the store manager getting ready to kill himself. And that's pretty much what happened in issue number 1. In issue number 2, we see that this asset protection guy he followed these people underground, under the facility, and there's these people living like underground in this cave, and he's there following them, and he's like, hey, wait a second, like these people are stealing from the store. So he gets out there under the ground following these people, and these people there are living like kind of like really not like bums, because they're stealing stuff from the store, but a lot. Some of them seem kind of backwoods. They seem like hicks, like dirt, you know what I'm saying, man. Some of them seem kind of like that, and again, they're very tribal, and they're talking about the above landers and just like these just different things going on. And he gets down there and investigates, and ends up getting caught by this tribe of people. And this tribe of people, there's actually different. I would say different sects of people there down there as well. And there was these guys that had got caught with this asset protection guy, and they're being taken into this tribe to their leaders and everything, and they're being talked to. And these guys that were in this tribe, or these guys that were just kind of loners out there, like they're talking to one of the guys. They're like, hey man, once they get there, like, hey, like, I haven't seen you forever. We thought you died. You disappeared like 2 years ago. Like, your wife thinks you're dead. And he's like, hey man, he's like, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell my wife I'm still alive, man. It's okay if she thinks I'm dead. I'm here, I'm free, and I'm happy. Just kind of this funny stuff going on. So while they're there, kind of going through all their rituals and everything, and kind of getting ready to try these people, I guess, these trespassers and these perpetrators, and one of them being the asset protection guy. He ends up going through, the asset protection guy sees this big old barrel of, I don't know, gasoline or something, and they've kind of got this fire. They're doing their ritual thing, and he takes it. Boom! He he throws it on these people. It rolls them over and gets in on their fire, and it explodes, and it just kind of goes nuts. And he makes his escape to get out of there, and he ends up using this little kid as a human shield, and just some funny things happen here as the people there at his store are kind of looking for him, like, hey, what happened to this guy? And he can't get contact with him. He has like this little high tech watch that he uses, like obviously a two-way communicator. To get a hold of them. And you can see like right here where he uses this little kid to keep him protected from these people that I guess you could say they're somewhat indigenous people there living underground, for to make an escape out of there, as you can see right there. Again, I thought this book was it's funny. It's kind of funny, more funny to me than anything. Like it's really just like kind of comical. And there's the advertisement for issue number 3, and this page right here shows some of the art, like. And this didn't really happen in issue number 1, where they had panels like this, but they did this at the beginning book and the end there, where they were dealing with the store manager and stuff. But again, I thought this book was pretty good. It makes me laugh. It's something kind of like comical, but like taking place, and like they're taking this asset protection seriously, you know. And I used to work in the retail world. I worked at Walmart for years, and so like to me it's kind of funny. Like I see that, and I'm like, this reminds me of my days working at Walmart, and just helping even like the asset protection people go through and keep an eye on somebody who they suspect of stealing, and just a lot of those kind of procedures. But these guys are highly trained, you know, and it's just really great stuff. And there was like in the first issue, he's tracking this one guy who he thinks is stealing, and then all of a sudden, beep, his watch goes off. Like, man, break time, crap. You know, he's like frustrated because, you know, his break time it's mandated by the company. He has to go on his break 40 and 15 minutes at that time. And he went on his break in 15 minutes, and as soon as his 15 minutes were up, and it's funny because during his 15 minutes, you see him go to his locker. He undresses, puts on some workout clothes. He goes out for a jog through the town, and then he gets back to work, takes a quick shower, gets back in his clothes, and then he's back on it, man. He's back on that guy that was trying to steal from him, and then that's when things kind of, all hell started kind of breaking loose in the store. So again, just funny stuff. And to me, I find it funny because I used to work in that world, so it just kind of cracks me up seeing something that's that's like that, seeing that. So to me, I think it's kind of comical seeing some of that stuff here in the book. Very funny. D Piercy's comics says character names are similar too. Izzy and Dizzy. Yeah. Huh. I'll have to check out that 100 Bullets. Maybe they were somewhat inspired by that then. But yeah, Shoplifters will be liquidated. I thought this was a pretty decent read. Maybe I'll go through and do eventually do a video breaking down these two books as well. There's only 2 of them, and again, they're on Aftershock Comics, another one of the small publishers that I have been getting into some of their comic books. I was at LA Comic Con here a few weeks ago. At the beginning, you know, middle of October, we went to LA Comic Con, and I bought. I'm not sure if you can see it, bought that box set right there. It was a mystery box. I went ahead and bought it. Got quite a bit of their comics to go through and read. So I won't be running out of content anytime soon. And I've liked the titles that I've read there on Aftershock Comics. Like so far, I've read Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated. I've been reading Bad Reception. And I want to say there was another one. And I've done reviews of Bad Reception here on the channel. Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated has been good. Oh, the other one on Aftershock Comics I was reading was You Are Obsolete, which I thought was a very good book as well. You Are Obsolete is one I want to do some reviews on for that too. But yeah, guys, that's all I've got for these comic book reviews here for the week. You know, if there's any of these you want me to do more in-depth reviews on, please let me know. I will do that. But for the most part, I think I want to try to do that because some of them I want to cover some of the bigger, some of like the more popular titles out there, like some of them that I've got to do some reviews on still that I want to do a little bit more in depth on. Is this one right here, Ghost Rider issue number 2. I did a review of issue number 1 here on the channel. I'm not big into like Ghost Rider or anything, but this one, I'm going to do a review on this one because this one actually, if I was pulling that was another one lent to me by my local comic book shop to do a review on too. I would actually pull this series if I was going to pull something else off my list because my pull list is a little heavy right now. I would actually pull this. Issue number 2 of Ghost Rider was good. It was just good. Issue number one, it was like, I was like, it was okay. You know, I don't read Ghost Rider, but it was okay. You should probably read it if you're a Ghost Rider fan. Issue number two is great of Ghost Rider. Issue number two is awesome. Then I've got this one, Crescent and IO, and at first I thought it was 10, but everything that's in this book leads me to believe that it's Crescent and IO or EO. It could be EO. That was a future fight first by Marvel. That was a pretty good issue as well. And then Weapon Plus Absolute Carnage. I thought this was a very good book as well. Again, these three will be probably getting more of a review here on the channel to drop a video on. But Weapon Plus was a pretty good one as well. We see the Weapon H was actually brought into service to help hunt down the Carnage symbiote, or actually Carnage came to find him. Pretty interesting book though. Pretty interesting book if you've been following the Absolute Carnage series, or even like the character Clayton Cortez, who is Weapon H. Pretty good. I didn't read the Weapon H series, so I'm not really too familiar with him. But he's got like Wolverine claws and everything. He's like Hulk and pretty crazy series. But I thought that Weapon Plus, Absolute Carnage Weapon Plus was a pretty good book, and I believe that's just a one shot. So something I thought was pretty good. Two Gun Pedro says, how much was that Aftershock mystery box? I want to say it was $75, and just based off cover price of all the books in there was about $120 worth of stuff in there. So I don't know. This is just going off of what it off the cover prices and anything. I don't know the worth of them, but it actually came. You can go back and watch the video I did of it, but it came with quite a bit of issues, as well as a couple of, I think, 2 trade paperbacks. One of them was hardcover. So I guess a trade paperback and a hardcover one, and then it also had a graded comic in there, and which I was like, man, they gave me a graded comic, which my first graded comic ever, or like graded, yeah, my first one ever that I've ever owned, but. Man, I haven't read the title that's inside of there, man. Now I can't even read it. Like, you're forcing me to go read one of your books. But I own it. So, yeah, that's all I've got for this video today, folks. Wanted to try to keep this about an hour. I've got my lunch right here. I'm getting ready to go eat. Ooh, yeah, look at that salad, man. You guys, make sure that you eat something good, man. Eat good. Try to be healthy. And one thing I always tell people, if you're out there trying to start, a fitness regimen or anything like that, or a workout regimen, or trying to eat healthier, one thing I would always say is, for one, stop consuming your calories in the form of drinks. Stop drinking sodas. Stop drinking all of that stuff. Just drink water. Start there. That's a huge step towards a healthier you. But the other thing is you don't even have to change most of your eating habits. Start by doing this one thing. Add one big salad a day to your diet. I can guarantee you'll feel better and you'll start dropping weight. I think it's something that's very beneficial. So I think you guys should definitely do that. But that's all I got for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. Now, if you guys weren't here yesterday, you need to go back and watch. I did about a 90-minute interview with Young Ripa 59 here on YouTube. It was a really good time. It was my first time really having somebody like that on the channel, and I'm a huge supporter of Young Ripa, and we just kind of got in. I wanted to talk more comic books, but there's so many things I wanted to talk to him about. I was like, let's touch on a few different things. We talked a little bit about comic books, and then about fandoms, and really, and kind of like politics. Not necessarily politics itself, but how politics are affecting these fandoms and comic books and things out there, and also how social media is really playing a role in all of these things as well, with our fandoms, with politics, and even comic books and things like that, and how a lot of people fall behind the times and things like that. Just it was a really good time, really great time that I had with Young Ripper 59 yesterday. Again, that was very fun to do that stream yesterday, and I'm going to be hopefully doing some more streams with some other content creators out here pretty soon. Hopefully very similar ones like that, where we get different people out there just to talk about like comic books and things like that. Again, it was a great interview. Alpha Proto says, I run out of lettuce faster than anything. Yeah, and I try to put a lot of lettuce in there, but I like to put a lot of vegetables in there too, man. a lot of vegetables. Alpha Proto says, you guys talked about the fan culture. Yeah, that's really what it was. More about like the fan culture and things like that, and really just how like politics and social media is affecting it all so much. But yeah, it was a really good time. I suggest you guys go check it out. It was a fun time, man. Can't wait to get Young Ripper back on here on the channel again. So hopefully sooner than later. And that's all I have for this video today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell so you get notifications anytime I've uploaded new content. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, it's cool. I don't have no ego about it. You can feel free to give it a thumbs down as well. Although that's a little weird. We're just talking about comic books here, guys. But while you're at it, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your evening. Go out and read some comic books, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.